Evening, everybody. I'm Kevin Cork in for Trace Gallagher. 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 here in the nation's capital. And this, of course, is America's favorite late news, Fox News at Night. Breaking tonight, President Trump wrapping up his UK visit, making headlines for comments about Vladimir Putin, Charlie Kirk, and this.
We were going to keep Bagram, the big air base, that one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to him for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way. Okay, that could be a little breaking news.
Trying to get it back. Much more on that coming up in moments. Plus, the left outraged over the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel's show.
He every night has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans.
The media panel has much more on that in just a bit. And Turning Point USA has a brand new CEO, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, now taking the helm of the conservative grassroots organization. And then there's this. White House in, White House in, White House in, White House in. Some of y'all going to jail. Elected officials in New York City reportedly arrested while trying to access an ICE holding facility. We'll have the very latest on that story from the Big Apple, but we begin with the senior correspondent, Claudia Cowan. She's in Spanish Fork, Utah, with more on the ongoing investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, as well as what folks are doing to recall his great memory. Claudia.
Good evening, Kevin. That's right. As the man accused of murdering Charlie Kirk sits in the jail behind us, communities are preparing a weekend of services to honor Kirk's legacy and preserve his memory, starting with the campus where this tragedy unfolded last week. Tomorrow, Utah Valley University will host a Vigil for Unity to allow students, staff, and members of the community to come together in remembrance and healing. 8 days ago, Charlie Kirk was gunned down during a Turning Point USA event at the UVU campus. Even as classes there have resumed, students and staff are still in shock and wanting to act. The university president says many have approached her about wanting to remember Kirk at the place where he died in a permanent way.
Many members of our community have approached us with ideas for memorials, and all of those are welcome. We appreciate the interest, we appreciate the support, and I am hoping that next week we will be able to announce a process through which our community can decide what is a fitting way for a memorial here on campus.
And we're learning new details about how Kirk's accused assassin, Tyler Robinson, was taken into custody 1 week ago tonight. Officials say his surrender involved a delicate negotiation because they say Robinson knew he would inevitably get caught and did not want to risk getting shot or having a SWAT team move in on his family's house. Investigators now focused on the timeline and Robinson's movements and communications. For now, they say it appears he acted alone.
Really important to clarify that at this point, none of the evidence we released shows that anybody knew this was going to happen besides Tyler Robinson before this incident occurred.
Kevin, it will be a weekend of mourning not only here in Utah, but also in Glendale, Arizona, where the president and vice president are among those scheduled to speak at Charlie Kirk's big public memorial service on Sunday.
Expecting tens of thousands to attend. Indeed, it will be covered live right here on Fox. Thank you, Claudia. Appreciate that. Meantime, the president and his British counterpart touting the fruits of their labor from the last couple of days in a joint news conference, capping off what is widely being hailed as a very successful visit to the UK. Alexandria Hoff live in Washington for us with the highlights of a very great trip, I think the White House would argue. Alex.
Yeah, a lot of announcements today. So today the president, he really did get down to business with the Brits. No easing of tariffs, but a major tech agreement was reached to maximize AI growth in the U.S. and U.K. To power it, President Trump and Prime Minister Starmer also signed a multi-billion-dollar deal to fast-track more nuclear power plants. Of course, the other goal of that being to end reliance on Russian nuclear material.
The Russia situation, I hope we're going to have some good news for you coming up. You never know in war. You know, war is a different thing. Things happen that are very opposite of what you thought.
The president paired that comment as well to lack of progress between Israel and Gaza. But there's another global effort in the works, that is to retake Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan from the Taliban.
That could be a little breaking news. We're trying to get it back. because they need things from us. One of the reasons we want the base is, as you know, it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons.
And about 5,000 miles away from England, where the president had been, President Trump will honor the life of Charlie Kirk on Sunday at his memorial in Arizona.
I'll be leaving with some of the people in this room just to celebrate Charlie and all that he's done. So incredible. Never seen anything like it.
And on the president's way home, he was also asked about who he thought should replace late-night host Jimmy Kimmel.
I think a lot of people, anybody could replace him. The guy had no talent. Kimmel look, he was fired. He had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent.
Yeah, strong words there. And tomorrow, President Trump is set to speak with China's President Xi Jinping to finalize a TikTok deal. Kevin.
A whack job. All right. You don't hear that every day from the leader of the free world, Alex Hoffforth. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's bring in political consultant and former UK Prime Minister advisor Thomas Corbett-Dillon, along with former GOP national spokeswoman Elizabeth Pipko. I just want to start out with you, Thomas, because I really enjoyed watching the coverage throughout, and I think a lot of people would argue this went about as well as the president could have hoped. Your thoughts?
Yes, I think the Americans are going to be very happy. I think the British, there's two sides of it. The British government, I think, are happy. I think the British people are a little bit sad. They were hoping President Trump was going to come and save them from the persecution that's happening in England. So I think a lot of people are hoping for a bit more strong terms on the attacks on freedom of speech. But the president is such a huge fan of the United Kingdom that I think, you know, the British government are very happy with how it all went.
Before I bring Elizabeth into the conversation, I want to ask you about that rally over the weekend. 3 million people out there, Tommy and others organizing. Do you think that really has lasting power in the UK?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is a government that is arresting 12,000 people a year for things they post online. You know, that is directly against the fundamental value of the United States, which is why some of us, you know, on the British side are a little bit confused. We know the president loves the United Kingdom, but that government is not an ally government. This is a far-left regime in the UK that are against everything America stands for. So I think that rally was really important to show the British people are standing up to this. And we really were hoping for a little bit more stronger terms. We were hoping the president was going to meet with Lucy Connolly. I know these things would be very disruptive for the British government, but the people are crying out for it. They're saying, save us, President Trump, you know. So we wanted more, but that's okay. It was a great visit.
You know, I think you're right, and I think he was sort of walking that tightrope, respect for the king and obviously all the pageantry, and yet I think he's quite aware of his support among many in the UK. Elizabeth, great to have you with us tonight. I want to play this sound. This is Peter Doocy actually pressing Keir Starmer on the recognition of a Palestinian state. Want to get your thoughts on that.
You feel so strongly about officially recognizing Palestine for statehood. Why are you waiting for President Trump to leave the country? Why can't you just do it right now? And isn't there a risk in rewarding Hamas with that?
Well, let me be really clear about Hamas. They're a terrorist organisation who can have no part in any future governance in Palestine. And what happened on October the 7th was the worst attack since the Holocaust.
Boy, that was just delicious to watch that all unfold. Your thoughts, Elizabeth?
It was, and before I get to that, I just want to add I was lucky enough to be in the UK last weekend and to catch a glimpse of that rally, and it was beautiful. I saw American flags, obviously British flags, a lot of photos of Charlie as well, and it was wonderful to see. Now, on to that press conference, let me tell you, I'm sad to say it, but I almost wish Donald Trump would travel a little bit more, because apparently a lot of these foreign leaders get the courage to say the right thing when President Trump is standing by their side. I'm not understanding why it took this long and President Trump to be a foot away from him, for him to finally admit what happened on October 7th and who Hamas are, because I know a lot of people in his own country don't realize it, but I'm glad that he finally was able to get the courage to let the world know. Yeah,
you nailed it. The courage, because I think he's frankly been cowardly and not being more forceful in this issue. Let me share this. This is a crime crackdown. Obviously, a lot of people wondering whether or not the president will really continue to increase the heat in cooperation with congressional lawmakers. This is the Dems on the crime crackdown. We've seen what's happened here in Washington. Want to get your reaction to this.
Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
So I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal.
And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this. fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact.
So to characterize the district as some dystopian hellhole is categorically false.
Boy, they're painted into a bit of a corner. 15 seconds each. Thomas, is this good or bad messaging for the Democrats? What are they thinking here?
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking, and I have a lot of Democrat friends that live in D.C., and I've heard from a lot of people that somehow their Amazon packages are no longer disappearing, and that for them is that they're actually like, oh, maybe it's kind of a good thing. They aren't saying it yet publicly, but D.C. people are actually quite happy with what he's done.
Yeah, I am among those who have been saying that. Elizabeth, wrap us up. 20 seconds.
Well, look, I think look no further than this right here. If anyone's wondering why the Democrats lost the last election and why they continue to lose voters, the fact is the majority of the American people want to be safe more than they even want their party to win an election. I wish the Democrats agreed with that.
Yeah, good luck with that, because a lot of people may not be, look, they may not be great with politics. They may not be well-heeled and go to the most Tony schools or live in the best neighborhoods, but trust me, they will tell you privately, and many are actually saying now publicly, we want the help, make it safer, and that's better for everybody. Thomas and Elizabeth, thank you both for spending time with us tonight. I appreciate it.
This is just the latest chapter in Donald Trump's ongoing campaign to crack down on free speech.
We saw the government step up and give a hard shove, and then we saw a compliant company turn around and suspend Mr. Kimmel.
This is so serious, Aaron. Yeah. America is a less free place if late-night comedians cannot do and say what they want.
When I see you are wearing a hat, what does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
This moment, know that our democracy is on the line.
This guy with that hat. Democrats and their mainstream media allies sounding the alarm tonight, claiming that ABC's removal of Jimmy Kimmel is part of a Trump campaign to topple the First Amendment. We want to bring in Walk Away campaign founder Brandon Straka and political commentator Deborah Lee. Deborah, I want to begin with you. This is the president talking about Jimmy Kimmel and, again, his removal from his perch, at least suspended. We're saying indefinitely. We don't know if this is going to stick or not. We'll find out soon enough. Let me play this sound from the president, get your reaction.
Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
All right, Deborah Leah, fired for lack of talent? Is there more to it than that?
Like most things, Trump is very right on this issue. Jimmy Kimmel's show has turned into some sort of DNC emotional therapy session where every single segment is just bashing conservatives, which is half the country if you wanted to look at the exit polls for Trump's election. No wonder his ratings tanked. The Democrats keep doing the unpopular thing and then wondering why they're so unpopular. But according to them, they have a right to everything. They believe that the First Amendment in the Constitution says that Jimmy Kimmel has a right to make millions of dollars a year, be on your television, and be horrifically unfunny. And they want to abolish our Constitution, but they don't even know what it says. Free speech does not mean freedom from consequences, and all of us understand that.
You know a lot more about media than many on Capitol Hill. When you hear people say, oh, he was run out of there because the president doesn't like him, his ratings were not that strong. And when you make these wild comments, again, a company has every right to send you packing if you're risking their bottom line.
Right. Well, so Jimmy Kimmel's show has been around since 2003. People may not remember that. And he has lost more than 70% of his audience in the 18 to 49 key demographic since 2018. And in terms of revenue alone, he went from bringing in about $440 million a year to $220 million a year.
Wow.
And it's estimated he's losing like $20 million a year on that show. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big loser. And frankly, what he said about Charlie Kirk, I think, is absolutely unforgivable. And I think that implication is unforgivable. But the fact of the matter is this show is a loser, and he's a loser.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
Time to get and hit the bricks. Let me share this. This is actually back from 2022. Jimmy Kimmel, a person who now is saying, I'm being canceled unfairly. Listen to what he said about the Masked Singer back in February of 2022.
Fox Network really should be ashamed of themselves. They should have another show after The Masked Singer that night called The Masked Executives. All the Fox executives come out in costumes. The one who greenlit this idea takes off the mask and gets voted out of television forever.
Oh, you heard the laughter there, Deborah. Who's laughing now?
I think that must be a laugh track from the 80s of dead people, because nobody has laughed at a joke that he's made since his show started in 2003. It's just ridiculous. Fox took a chance with The Masked Singer. Look at them now, the top of every single network, every single show, top rating. Who doesn't have a show anymore? Jimmy Kimmel. But this is the problem with cancel culture. It only works on the left side when they use it in one direction. They hate when it's coming back at them. They'll go through your old tweets, they'll go through any of your liked messages, anything from 20 years ago to try and ruin your life. But if somebody lays the bed, they say something horrifically heinous in a moment of cultural divide, and they have to face consequences, suddenly we're the ones canceling everybody. We're ruining their lives. It's ridiculous. Nobody takes them seriously. And I'm so sick of these double standards. This is cancel culture. It's not even cancel culture. This is cancellation in action. He did a bad thing. He deserves to pay for it. Goodbye, Jimmy. We won't miss you.
Yeah, boy, sometimes you just nail it. I saw you nodding in affirmation. Not much I can add to what Deborah just said. I did read today, though, Brandon, somebody called this consequence culture.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the two things are the same. I mean, when the left is banning us, it's usually about like comments that, hurt their feelings, or about something really innocuous, or that we're not going along with whatever stupid trend we're supposed to be going along with masking, or whatever stupid thing. Yeah. Again, what was said about Charlie Kirk is egregious, I think, to the next level. And there have to be consequences. We can't just allow people to misdirect, is essentially what he did, the nature of why Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He tried to put it on the wrong group of people without taking ownership. And to me, it's really sickening. It's egregious. And there have to be consequences for that kind of behavior.
And as somebody who's very familiar with your state, has family in your state, and I know what Charlie Kirk means, your points could not be more well taken, and hopefully we'll see you this weekend out there. Should be a great night. Appreciate that, Brandon and Deborah. Have a great night. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Turning Point USA has unanimously elected a brand new CEO to succeed the late Charlie Kirk, and it is, in fact, his widow, Erica, who, in a powerful speech last week, promised to keep alive his legacy of open debate and conservative values. Christina Coleman has that for us tonight from the Southland. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, that's right. Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA is under new leadership tonight. Its board members voted unanimously for his widow, Erica Kirk, to lead the organization. They said Charlie expressed to multiple executives that this is what he wanted in the event of his death. They said, quote, Charlie prepared all of us for a moment like this one. He worked tirelessly to ensure Turning Point USA was built to survive even the greatest tests. And now it is our great pride to announce Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board. The news comes nearly a week after Erica Kirk spoke publicly about her husband's assassination and vowed to keep his legacy alive.
I felt her speech the other night. I could see her pain and I could see her passion, and I felt the Holy Spirit speak through her. So I can't wait to see, and I am a mother, I am a wife, I will be behind her 100%.
Following Kirk's assassination, Turning Point USA has received more than 32,000 inquiries from people who want to start new campus chapters. Also, the organization is moving forward with its previously scheduled event. It will be an indoor ticketed event on September 30th at Utah State University, which is the school Kirk's alleged killer attended for one semester back in 2021. The university is coordinating with local, state, and federal authorities to ensure appropriate security measures are in place for this upcoming Turning Point USA event. Kevin?
Christina, thank you. Let's bring in Arizona Republican Congressman Abe Hamadeh. It is so good to have you for two reasons. First of all, you more than most understand the impact that Charlie not only had in your state, but all over the country. But more importantly, now that there is a new CEO, someone that we have all been able to sort of watch and feel very close to over these last several days, it seems like just sweet justice.
It does. I mean, you have to look at Erica. What an amazing woman she is after going through all of this to be able to step in and fight and continue that legacy that Charlie Kirk built. And, you know, Kevin, it really has affected so many people in Arizona, my home state, because that's where Charlie was from. I mean, he is a son of Arizona. So many of my staff worked at Turning Point, that's headquartered in Arizona. And it's deeply affected all of us. So I know I'm going to be going to the memorial services later this week on Sunday. And it's what a way to honor his legacy with the President of the United States going and so many of these notable key figures, so many people he's impacted throughout the country. So it's a great way to honor his legacy. But we got to continue that fight and understand what we are dealing with. I mean, what we all witnessed last week, we were in my office here in Washington, D.C. We witnessed the militant left. And too many people want to forget how radical they've become and that they're willing to kill. And what's so unfortunate right now is what you're seeing: teachers, judges, people in positions of power justifying and legitimizing that type of act. And it's disgusting. We need to call it out and fight back against it.
Fight back against it is exactly right. This is from Turning Point USA. It's a full screen. Just want to share this one, Katie. In prior discussions, Charlie expressed to multiple executives that this is what he wanted in the event of his death. I couldn't think of a better person to carry forward the message. She was so impassioned when she spoke, a pillar of strength, quite frankly. I mean, I was blown away watching her last week.
So many people were. I mean, the whole world got to watch her. With less than 48 hours after her husband's death, the father of her children, for her to stand up there. I mean, it took a lot out of her to do that. And it just shows you how much she actually cares about our country, how much Charlie cared about our country, that he was even preparing for this legacy. And for Erica to step in like that, I mean, she's got a lot on her plate, and I give her a tremendous amount of credit. And we are here to support her from Arizona. Arizona is her home as well, and we're going to be with her all the way.
Just want to show real quickly, you mentioned the event coming up this weekend, a list of luminaries, quite remarkable, quite frankly. It's not just the President of the United States, but also the Vice President, J.D. Vance, expected to be there, as well as the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and many other prominent political figures, all slated to speak. Again, this is happening Sunday at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, that big event to honor Charlie Kirk. And I really appreciate you spending time with us tonight, because I know what Charlie meant to you, your staff, and to your great state. And continued success, and may his memory live on well.
Thank you, Kevin. The best way to do that is to continue to fight, and that's exactly what I intend to do in Congress.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Coming up as we continue here on Fox News at Night, multiple elected officials reportedly arrested as anti-ICE protests escalate in the Big Apple. Chanley Painter is in the city with the latest. Plus,
I want the hostages released now, right now. Not 1, 2. We'll give you 3 more tomorrow.
oh boy, our foreign policy experts live on set and later on in the nightcap.
She is passionate, she is fierce, and she is going to continue on this legacy of her husband.
Erica Kirk takes over at Turning Point. Who else should join her in engaging young voters? Weigh in the nightcap that's coming your way later in the show. "28 minutes after the hour now, far left New York City Comptroller Brad Lander joining a group of politicians and protesters trying to force their way into the Manhattan ICE office and block vans from leaving that facility. Chanley Painter live in the city with the latest for us. Hi, Chanley.
Hey, Kevin. So that group staged a sit-in to demand access to the ICE office and the holding cells here in Manhattan earlier today. Listen. ICE sources claim officers had to secure doors with locks and zip ties after protesters pushed to enter, chanting, "Let us in," from outside the facility door. And meanwhile, downstairs, a separate group of protesters blocked ICE vans from leaving the facility. And New York City Comptroller, a part of that group, posting about the protest, saying, in part, quote, "Happening now, New Yorkers against ICE. We are at 26 Federal Plaza, where ICE abducts immigrant New Yorkers to demand access to the 10th floor and block ICE vans from leaving." According to ICE officials, several, quote, egregious criminal aliens are currently being held in the cells at that site, including a confirmed MS-13 member convicted of criminal possession of a weapon and DUI, also an illegal alien convicted of criminal possession of a gun, an illegal alien with a final court order of removal who was actually arrested for flying drones near the White House multiple times. Also there, an illegal alien with 2 kilograms of fentanyl, an illegal alien convicted convicted of drug trafficking in Switzerland, also housed there. Well, Lander and the protesters are saying that they are just demanding access, Kevin, to conduct, quote, oversight of conditions at the facility. Back to you.
Yeah, as if. Chandler Painter, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
We're going to leave Afghanistan, but we're going to leave it with strength and dignity. And we're going to keep Bagram, the big air base, that one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to them for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way. Okay, that could be a little breaking news. We're trying to get it back because they need things from us. We want that base back. But one of the reasons we want the base is, as you know, it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons.
As ever, the president making and breaking news today when he revealed the U.S. is trying to get Bagram Air Base back from the Taliban in Afghanistan. Want to bring in Atlantic Council Senior Fellow and former U.S. Counterterrorism Coordinator Ambassador Nathan Sales, along with former National Security Council Chief of Staff Alex Gray. First to you, Nathan. I'm all for it. As you well know, I never felt like Carter should have given up the Panama Canal. Didn't like the way the Biden crew decided to just leave the money, leave the equipment, and a base. Your thoughts on the push to reclaim that base?
Exactly right, Kevin. It was a catastrophic mistake. And let's be clear, when we pulled out of Bagram, that was a death sentence for 13 American service members. Bagram was where we had a prison, where we incarcerated some of the worst terrorists we captured in Afghanistan. Taliban comes through, they open up the doors, ISIS guys get out. One of those ISIS guys goes on to detonate a suicide vest at Abbey Gate outside the airport, taking 13 of our bravest. So we need to get the base back, not just because we have to prevent that from happening again, but because we need to have drones up in the sky over Afghanistan, collecting information about terrorists and being in a position to take action, not simply hoping for the best. That's not an effective counterterrorism strategy.
Alex.
Well, look, President Trump understands place and location more than any president in our history, and he understands intuitively, and he always did in the first term. I've heard him say it 100 times. We have to have that base because it is the closest base to China's nuclear weapon sites in the Western Desert. That is a strategic location of insurmountable importance. And President Trump, when he was in office in his first term, managed to make sure that on the drawdown in Afghanistan, we didn't have extraneous loss of life. We went months without losing an American serviceman to the Taliban. Joe Biden takes over. As Nathan said, we lose 13 soldiers at Abbey Gate, and we lose countless equipment and American prestige in the process. Donald Trump handled the withdrawal from Afghanistan with a strategy, and he made sure that America was going to come out stronger in the end. Joe Biden created a disaster.
A disaster that will absolutely leave a devastating mark on his legacy, no matter how you slice it. Let me get you both to weigh in on this. The president and Keir Starmer talking about Russia. Again, the president's still confident that he can maybe broker a deal. Listen.
We've solved 7 wars. The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin. But he's let me down. He's really let me down. Who's going to be Russia and Ukraine?
We're also united in the pursuit of peace. We've discussed today how we can build our defences further, support Ukraine, and decisively increase the pressure on Putin to get him to agree a peace deal that will last.
Alex, to you first, 20 seconds each. A fool's errand, or does this eventually pay off?
The president's going to get a deal. I'm confident about that. What the deal looks like, we're going to have to find out. But peace through strength prevails in the end. The president's putting pressure on Vladimir Putin. He's showing American strength in the face of aggression, and he's showing that America stands with our vital national interests.
Yeah.
And I think you're ultimately, Kevin, you're going to see the president get a solution that serves the American people in the end.
And he has to continue, Nathan, applying pressure on our European partners as well.
Peace is possible, but peace requires pressure. That means sanctions on Russia, but also we need to do this in parallel with our European allies. We can't be sanctioning Russian energy exports on the one hand and then sanctioning the Europeans that buy the Russian energy. So, we have to get the Europeans to break their dependency on Russian energy. That's how you break the Russian war machine, doing it together as allies.
This is going to be probably his most... A lot of people felt like this was the thing he would get done first. it may turn out that this may be his most difficult challenge, but a lot of people feel like he'll get there eventually. A lot more work yet to be done. Nathan Sales, Alex Gray, gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate your time tonight. Breaking tonight, we have a brand new video to tell you about. It's coming into Fox News of Operation Pacific Viper. It's in action right before your very eyes. This footage showing the U.S. Coast Guard conducting a drug raid in the open ocean. The cutter Seneca seizing, wait for it, 5,500 pounds of cocaine in this operation. And that's just in the northeast area of the Galapagos Islands. Pacific Viper is a joint Coast Guard effort with the Navy aimed at combating the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S. Incredible pictures indeed. We continue here on Fox News at Night. Coming up.
Charlie Kirk was heinously assassinated for speaking his mind. He was a great young man. Incredible future.
Incredible future cut short. We have a look at the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk and where the nation goes from here. That's next.
He was very compelling. I've never seen anybody capture a group of people like he captured youth. He captured youth. It was incredible. You know, when I say he was a young guy, but I'm talking about the 20-year-olds and the 18-year-olds. It was like he had a following that was incredible.
President Trump once again paying tribute to Charlie Kirk and, of course, his unique style of open debate that earned him such widespread appeal, especially among the youngest voters out there. Let's bring in UFC champion Colby Covington and political commentator Priya Patel to help us break down what this all means. I want to share for both of you, this is just a bit of sound. Erica Kirk, again, talking about her husband's legacy and how committed she is to making sure this does not die.
Charlie, I promise I will never let your legacy die, baby. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. I promise.
Wow. First to you, Priya. Every time I see that clip and I watched it live, I am struck by the incredible strength that young woman has.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it has just been overwhelming this last week, seeing how many people from around the world are coming together and showing their love and support for not only Charlie, but for his entire family. And on top of all of that, I'm overwhelmed by the strength and courage displayed by those closest to Charlie, especially Erica. I mean, she did not owe it to the nation to give us exactly what we needed in our time of grief for Charlie, but she gave that to us, and that just displays exactly how much love, strength, and courage that woman has for not only her husband, but for his mission.
Gosh, that is so well said, Priya. The selflessness on full display there was just incredible. Colby, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are Erica Kirk is the bravest and strongest woman I've ever laid eyes on. To show strength at such a devastating and tough time is something that this country needed, and she's going to impact the future more than anybody could have ever done. So just tremendous respect for the courage and honor she showed in that moment. Yeah,
and it's been wonderful to see all these great and talented people step into the gap. You know, for today, I saw Megyn Kelly doing his show, the vice president, of course, also. I think that really has weight because I think there's a great need in the country, obviously, especially among the young people who so loved Charlie, to see others step in and fill that gap. This is a little sound, though. I just wanted to share this and get your reaction. This is Gavin Newsom talking about when his son wanted a picture with Charlie Kirk. I want to play this bit of sound, get your reaction after.
He wanted to have a picture with Charlie because he was very familiar with him, and so many young boys are. And it was a recognition of the why. Why was Charlie my first guest? We have a crisis in this country of men and boys, and for decades, candidly, we've neglected it because some of us have been scared to enter into the fray.
You know, every now and again, a still clock is right, you know, a couple times a day, and I think in that case, that was real humility, and I thought an honest reaction from Gavin Newsom. Priya, what'd you think of what he had to say there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a rare occasion that I agree with Gavin Newsom on many things, but, you know, he brings up a really, really valid point. not only on the left, but especially on the left, but politics has really, really abandoned young people in this country, but especially men. I mean, we've had this live and let live type of culture where we just have no structure in our society whatsoever. Young men yearn to be leaders, to be courageous, to actually stand up for something, and they've been told to just shut up and sit down for as long as I've been alive and remember. And Charlie really spoke to them. You know, Charlie gave them something to, when Charlie spoke, young men were like, I agree with this guy, you know, and he encouraged them to speak truth, to actually bring purpose into their life and to actually do something instead of just sitting back on the sidelines and letting the world happen to them. He encouraged them to actually step out into the world and achieve things.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. And Colby, that's why so many people really admire you. You're a young, strong, passionate leader. Your reaction to watching that clip from Gavin Newsom and what Priya said right there.
Yeah, it'll only be the one time I ever agree with Gavin Newsom. But, you know, Charlie Kirk is a total rock star. He's immortalized now. And, you know, I remember the first time I met him when he was 26 years old. You would have thought he served 2 terms as president already, the way he carried himself and the knowledge that he possessed. He's just a total rock star. And, you know, he's gone, but he'll never be forgotten.
He'll never be forgotten for so many different reasons, and it makes us obviously look forward to this weekend, the big event coming up. The President of the United States, the Vice President, Secretary of State, a cast of thousands, tens of thousands, frankly, will be there to mark his great life and, again, to celebrate his memory. We so appreciate your time tonight, Colby and Priya, and sharing your thoughts about not just Charlie, but also Erica, as Turning Point USA continues to move forward with the mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He loved youth. I've never seen anybody relate to youth like Charlie, and they related to him.
Erica Kirk has taken over the reins at Turning Point USA, but we're just wondering, who else would you like to see, you know, sort of get more active in the battle to engage younger voters, especially those of a conservative bent? Let us know what you think on X and Instagram at Fox News Night. We are back with the Nightcap crew, which includes you. That's next. And we're back with the Nightcap crew: Chandler Painter, Priya Patel, Deborah Leah, Colby Covington, and Brandon Straka. Erica Kirk, as you know, has taken the reins at Turning Point USA. But we're just curious tonight, who else would you like to see become more active in the idea of engaging young voters? Let's begin with Chandler Painter.
Yeah, Kevin, today I saw on Fox News C.J. Pearson. He's the Youth Advisory Council for the GOP leader. I think he would be great. Also, like an athlete like Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs, someone like that, or Riley Gaines, all could step up and make a difference.
Oh, boy, that's a great trio of names right there. Let's check in with Deborah Leah.
Jimmy Kimmel. No, I'm kidding. I think young folks should take the reins. I started my Turning Point chapter at the University of Maryland in 2019 with Charlie as my mentor. It was the best thing I ever did for myself. So if you're a young student, or you're a young child in this country, get your friends, make it cool again, get them to the polls.
Deborah, I vote for you. That was fantastic. Priya Patel.
Yeah, you know, I think that Charlie was truly a giant in the movement. Nobody's going to be able to fill his shoes. I think it's going to be going to have to be a culmination of everybody that takes a part in the conservative movement, and especially the students that are involved in TPUSA. And I encourage more students to get involved and start a chapter if they don't have one at their campus already.
And a lot of people are obviously listening to you, because I've been watching the numbers. They've been absolutely incredible. Colby Covington, what do you think?
I'm calling on all athletes to step up and voice their conservative values. You know, a lot of the youth of today, they look up to these athletes. And I know the athletes are scared, but I constantly hear that all these conservative athletes, they tell me they're just scared to voice their opinion because blowback from the league and from their owners. But I'm calling on all the athletes to step up in the name for Charlie Kirk.
Be courageous, because iron sharpens iron. Brandon Straka, what do you think?
Well, I echo the sentiments of a lot of my co-panelists here. I think it's time for everybody to step up. Everybody should speak out. And one thing I would encourage people to is don't worry if you're not a genius like Charlie Kirk. You don't have to be as good as Charlie Kirk. I think the lesson here is just be the best version of yourself. Now is the time for everyone to speak out and stand up for their values.
Perfectly said, and a great way to wrap us up. Let's check in on the audience. This is a note from Paul. Paul weighing in on the Nightcap crew tonight. He says, Barron, as in Barron Trump, is the one that got DJT on social media. I'd like to see him expand his influence. Donald says Ben Shapiro would be a good choice. Agree. How about our friend Human Hamadi? He said, I'd love to see Fox News at Night guest Lucky Basseri. He's just 17 and a brilliant communicator indeed. Stephanie says Barron's friend Bo Loudon. How about that? Linda, Tim Tebow, Jonathan Isaac, and Riley Gaines. Love Riley. Tommy says, here's a worthy and wild thought. Actor Mark Wahlberg would be fantastic. Tough to argue with that. And with that, we want to thank the crew, and we want to thank you as well for watching America's favorite late news, Fox News at Night. I'm Kevin Corkin for Trace Gallagher in Washington. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night.